Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time it is, wherever you are, it is right now. You are right here. My name is Manuel, and it's my pleasure to welcome you. Today is day 7 of the show, and I have to congratulate you for making the best decision of the day to spend some time with me. Let's get started. You know, you can always tell when a politician isn't thinking like a leader because they can't resist thinking like a performer. Enter the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul. This past Saturday, Governor Hochul took to X and announced, proudly and quite theatrically, that when offered federal assistance ahead of the historic winter storm barreling towards New York, she responded by telling the Secretary of Homeland Security that the real help New Yorkers needed was for ICE to get the hell out. Here, let me read her post to you exactly so we're on the same page. Quote, Secretary Noem offered assistance to New York ahead of the impending snowstorm. I shared that the fastest way to help is for ICE to back off so people feel safe accessing warming centers, shelters, hospitals, and houses of worship. Wow. Wow. Oh boy. Let's take a breath and not get carried away like Governor Hochul. Snowstorms don't care about talking points. Hypothermia doesn't check party registration. Frozen streets and highways don't thaw because you won a round of ideological sparring on social media. And most of all, no matter how much hot air Governor Hochul blows, not a single New Yorker is kept warm by her made for social media zingers. People have already died in this storm. That's not abstract. That's not rhetorical. That's not propaganda for a press release. That's real human cost. And yet, at the very moment when leadership should be laser focused, serving the people, when it should show sober up, strip away ideology, deal with the immediate, unforgiving reality, Governor Hochul chose instead to engage in partisan performance art. This wasn't governance, this was grandstanding. Grandstanding on top of frozen corpses. And worse than that, it was pure misdirection. Now, let me be very clear, because nuance is where the adults in the room live, and you'll find I don't shy away from nuance. I embrace it. The topic of ICE is red hot right now. It makes sense. It's understandable. It definitely deserves discussion. It deserves looking for real solutions. And it really deserves a lowering of the temperatures, not an increase. But that conversation belongs in daylight, not in the middle of a blizzard when people are trying to survive the night. A natural disaster is not the time for political one-upsmanship. It's the moment for clarity, calm, and especially coordination with FEMA. When a storm is coming, a governor has exactly one job: make sure the people survive it. The job isn't to virtue signal. The job isn't to juice engagement on social media. And the job isn't an audition for a spot on MSNBC. Look, I get it. I do. Proper leadership in the middle of a literal snowstorm is boring. It's procedural, and it's very unsexy. Proper leadership in the middle of the snowstorm sounds something like, my fellow citizens, here are the warming centers. And then you list them. Here's where to go. And then you give directions. Here's who's coming to help. And then you name names. Here's what to do. And then you advise. But what it doesn't sound like is, let me redirect this emergency into my preferred political narrative. You know what that is? That's carnival barking. And carnival barkers don't run evacuations, they run distractions. Now, here's where the persuasion lens matters, because this is absolutely textbook. This is what's called frame hijacking. You might want to take notes about this. You see, a snowstorm is an event with a clear, dominant frame: danger, urgency, survival. Hochul attempted to overwrite that frame with a secondary emotionally charged issue, immigration enforcement. Governor, why the dereliction of duty? We know why. Because it activates her base and positions her favorably inside her party. Anything to kick the orange man in the nuts, huh? Am I right, Governor? Yeah, we know how it is. But when you hijack a crisis frame for partisan gain, you don't elevate yourself. You shrink the moment. You tell the public, maybe subtly, but definitely unmistakably, that your political positioning matters more than their immediate needs. And people feel that. Even if they can't explain it, they feel it. This is exactly why the public doesn't trust its alleged leaders. Because leadership isn't about always being right or exciting. It's about being appropriate for the moment. And this was wildly inappropriate. A storm is not an ideological canvas. But here's the deeper problem, because this isn't just about one tweet. This is a symptom. Governor Hochul in this moment personified everything wrong with partisan politics in America today. The inability, I'm being too generous right now. The unwillingness to turn off the messaging machine even for a moment. The addiction to headlines, the reflex to treat every event as an opportunity to score points rather than solve problems. She wasn't acting as a leader of the people. She was acting as a partisan cheerleader. And yeah, cheerleaders are useful in stadiums, not so much in natural disasters. A real leader understands something simple. In a crisis, unity isn't a weakness. Just like focus is not surrender, and just like silence on unrelated issues isn't betrayal. You don't calm a frightened population by reminding them of the most divisive issue in the country. You calm them by telling them where to go, who will help them, and that someone who actually knows what they're doing is in charge. Instead, Hochul chose to gin up the people so she could redirect fear into outrage to keep the political temperature high while the philosophical temperature was dropping. You know, making people's blood boil doesn't actually keep them warm, Governor. That is the absolute pinnacle of bad leadership. Because when people are freezing, they don't need slogans. They need a damn shelter. When the hospitals are strained, they don't need ideology. They need logistics. And when people's lives are on the line, the last thing a governor should be doing is auditioning for applause. History doesn't remember who won the tweet battle. It remembers who kept people alive. And in this moment, Governor Hochul did not rise to the occasion. She reduced it. Reduced it to performance, to propaganda, to partisan reflex. Look, America definitely doesn't lack passionate politicians. It lacks adults who can recognize when passion needs to take a back seat. Leadership isn't saying the things your side wants to hear. No, it's about doing the thing the moment requires, even if you don't get applause for it. Especially then. Okay, let's pause there. We'll continue tomorrow. And remember, be useful.